Hey guys, I've been working at Barracuda for about 6 months now, and all the time it was been remote. So one of the difficulties of working remote is that you cannot cross paths with people around your office. Let's say go for a coffee or have a lunch together, and get all that necessary information about how do people operate, what are the things that they have on top of their mind. It's very difficult to kind of slack. I mean, it's easy to slack, but it's difficult to talk about those questions and those topics that very difficult for people to bring when they have just a formal meeting through Zoom or through online resources. So one of the things that I found it super helpful, and I had a meeting with my team, and what I've asked everybody to do, and I started with myself, is actually sharing how do I work on a daily basis. Like, for example, what do I like to wake up? What the type of work I like to do? Where I like to schedule my meetings? How do I like to be contacted? Like, if there is something urgent, do you email me? Do you Slack me? Do you call me? In what circumstances? I also have shared that, I've shifted my hours, for example, that I typically, end the work day at 4, then go for work for a couple hours, then come back maybe around 5 or 6 or 7 and actually work for another hour or 2 hours and do some planning for the week because it's super helpful. So this is really opened me and everybody on our team actually shared with me how they operate on their end. So this is a great way for us to be more productive when we have to work remotely. I'll give you an example. So as soon as I had this first conversation, I actually a couple days later actually wrote something to one of my peer on engineering side, engineering manager, where I was basically having some questions on Slack. It was probably around since 6 p.m. So, and he texted me, and he didn't text me. He actually responded on the Slack and basically say, hey, you know what? Like at this time, since I'm an engineer, I have a lot of people contacting me on Slack when things is getting broken. So do not, I don't really like to have a conversation on Slack because I have a family, I have kids, so I, check off at 5:30, but I work very early in the morning. So, and that was really eye-opening because sometimes I just write a few questions, and as I said to my team, I don't expect them to respond to my Slack messages right away, especially if I send them late. But what it does for me that I understand that now if I want to write something for him, I actually write it in sort of like to myself in Slack. But if I wake up in the morning, I basically have all my thoughts already prepared, and I very effectively can copy paste and then send it to him. And this way is sort of like I done all my thinking and all my planning in the evening. And at the same time, I respect the way that he operates and how to make it more successful in terms of our collaboration. So that's one of the interesting things about sort of how to make the work remote, work from home operate better. What I have done also on my end is that I have tried to do like a weekly updates in the Slack channel where I basically say, okay, this is what I'm focusing this week. This is the thing that I have in mind. This is important things to note about. So this way, it gives my team an ability to contribute on different topics that I'm working on. It also gives me a sort of the reminding to myself of what I need to focus on, what are the things that I have to worry about, and it also sort of allows us to be more effective in terms of getting to the meeting where we have a weekly meeting with about like 8 people where we discuss what's happening. But since we do a lot of that type of okay, this is what we're working on, we spend much less time of discussing what's happening. We actually can have a very detailed conversation, digging deep into the discussions that's difficult or hard to have on the Slack, something that might be nobody knows what's happening. So that is a couple of things that I really use and I find it very effective. So please share with me what's helping you in this work and remote culture of working. I also would like to share, if you guys like, at some point, the way I do my communications in terms of the project plans and product releases, in terms of the things that I try to highlight and how do I operate in priorities. Because as a growth manager at my company, my main objective, sort of my main difficulty and challenge is making sure that I'm enabling all the everybody to do as much work as possible without like being in a barrier. So I work probably with the most broadest parts of the company across different departments. And I work with, I report, do my updates to CMO, sometimes to VP of marketing. I work directly with product marketing. I work directly with engineering. We have designer and we have a data scientist. I also have to work with MSPs who are sort of like our partner solutions. I have to work with products. I also have to manage quite a bit of vendor management, and especially if you have a big product, sort of a product like Mixpanel or Intercom, for example, and we want to implement it across 12, 13 products. Right now, sort of my responsibility is to kind of manage that relationship between those vendors and the product team. So that's something that I wanted to share with you. I hope you find it helpful. Let me know, how do you guys work, and what's some of the things that you learned about working in pandemic and working from home. Thank you so much.